All right. What is up, guys? Um, to be completely honest, and you can hear Kendrick in the background, which will probably get me copyright struck, but whatever. Um, I'm here to do a very quick live Q&A. Yesterday I made a commitment that I would do this every single day. And as you might be able to tell, I am just out of it. I am stressed. I don't want to be doing this. Right now, this is the last thing I want to be doing. Um, but I made that commitment, and I know that when it comes to anything, any goal or whatever, uh, you have to have some kind of minimum threshold for daily action that you stick to, that is realistic. It can't be something that's like super intense, something that you can't keep to. And for me, it's just to at least do a live stream at all, right? To at least post some kind of content on YouTube, excluding shorts. So this is that, right? Do I want to be doing it? No. Is it going to be a great video? I mean, you never know. Maybe 30 minutes in, I keep going and it just becomes the best live stream I ever did. You never know, but probably not. It's not likely, but it builds the habit, it builds momentum, and that's where results come from, right? And my biggest sticking point has always been setting ridiculous goals that are not achievable when I'm feeling motivated, right? When I'm feeling motivated, I'll tell myself I'll do something that's like 10x what I was doing before, not stick to it for more than a week or two, and then basically give up. And so the key, uh, I believe, is to have big goals for the long term, of course, but in the short term, it's all about consistency. And it doesn't have to be extremely small, but something that you can do even on a shitty day. Like today, for me, is a day where I'm not in a good mood. It's the day where I don't want to be taking action. It's a day where I don't, uh, want to be making a video, but still doing something on that day is what leads to the long-term results that you want, right? And it can be shitty at times, but the momentum catches up with you when you do this. And obviously, I'm talking about YouTube or business or whatever, but this also applies to cold approach. It applies 1,000 times the cold approach. The number one thing when I'm doing group coaching calls or doing consultations for boot camps, the number one thing that I hear is I ask, how often do you go out? And they're like, well, I went out once last month. I go out once or twice a week. I go out every now and then. I hear not consistency. It's almost never, oh, I go out every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And people who did that, if someone were to do that, they would get results. They would be making very good progress. They wouldn't be stuck. That's the foundation everything else is built on. Without that, nothing else matters. Nothing else will work. Have you ever AMOG'd someone? Yeah, many times. I mean, not really on purpose. Not like I'm going out trying to AMOG, which means blow a guy out from an interaction by out alphaing him. So I would say I have done that many times, but I'm not like going out of my way to do that on purpose. 3 day game approaches a day plus 1 to 2 nights of night game enough. As long as on those sessions you're pushing yourself and doing more and more over time, then yeah. But you want to move towards 50 per week, I think is a good number. All right, Young Cupid. How do you deal with couples hating on you, like bringing gossip in the relationship about you? Do you beat the boyfriend up? Bro, what? That's a little extreme. I don't know what you're saying. I don't care as how I deal with couples bringing gossip up. I don't beat the boyfriend up. I don't know. It's pretty wild now out there. I don't know if you're trolling or what. So right now, like I said, I'm not going to be doing this for very long. I'm just at the very least doing my minimum and doing these streams even when I really don't want to be, even when I'm not in the mood. I'm not going to guarantee that it's going to be an hour. I'm not going to guarantee it's. What do you mean really bad? Like, are they accusing you of, like being a criminal or something? But through doing that in a month, if I follow through and I am consistent, you're going to see the channel, the views, double, triple, etc. And hopefully I'll be an example of what I'm talking about in this video, right? Hopefully I'll prove the point that I'm making, and it'll be I don't know. It'll be cool if that happens. All right, so I'm past the 5 minutes. That was my minimum threshold. If I see a good question, I will answer it happily. If I don't, I'm just gonna check out. I wanted to. All right, 3 gay men went to a bar, but there was only one stool to sit on. You know what they did? They flipped it upside down. The joke is going over my head. That might be hilarious, but that is going over my head, to be completely honest. All right, I'll wait another 30 seconds for a good question. Yes, you should keep yourself out of jail. Do I use dating apps? Yes, but the majority of my results have not come from dating apps. They're very supplemental. Tell yourself something that doesn't make it personal. So either tell yourself something like, who would have the balls to do that? Or tell yourself something like, oh, she must have had a boyfriend. Something that just tell yourself that. Don't analyze it and judge yourself and talk about all the reasons why you're not good enough or whatever. Just tell yourself something simple like that and then move on. And then minimize the time before doing another approach. Because the longer you wander around and think, the worse it's going to get. You absolutely can, but in most cities, it would be harder. If you're college age, then that's not as much of an issue because not right now, but during fall or whatever, during the semesters, you can do tons of day game at a college, right? And so that will college campuses have a ton of opportunity. They have as much volume as bars and clubs. So if that's your situation, then day game isn't really a problem. But in most cases, unless you're in a city like Miami, New York, or something along those lines, you should at least be doing some night game because there's just more women to approach and women who want to meet guys proactively. That's what they do is they go to bars and clubs. So at least Friday, Saturday, you should be going to bars and clubs unless there's some reason you can't. All right. I will answer. If I see one more good question, I'll answer it. But other than that, I'm going to wrap up. For me, I mean, it took over a year, but I used horrible strategy when I was new. I never led, I never escalated, I never made a move. And so for me, I kept making the same mistakes and butting my head like into a wall, basically. So it wasn't quick. But if I had better guidance, it would have been much faster. So for me, it took over a year, but it doesn't have to. Well, tangible results, right? Tangible results. You're getting more numbers, more dates, more lays, getting with more women you find more attractive. Whatever your standards are, right? It's your definition. Look, no, for a Wednesday, that's solid, honestly. If you're talking about in a bar or club, when you go to a bar or club, you want to do more than that. But if you're talking about in the day, 7 is really good. And you said within an hour. So yeah, that's very solid. That's the kind of thing when I say doing game and most people aren't doing game, that's basically what I'm talking about. I've seen a lot of contradictory studies about this. The problem with studies is the data sets and the way they get it's not very solid. It's not hard science and it's very easy to get contradicting studies with the same premise, the same hypothesis. So I would have to look into this. I've heard, Michael Sartain, I know he talks about that a lot. He talks specifically about women, but I looked it up and I saw studies that said the opposite too, that it didn't matter. So I don't know. A lot of these studies also are run by people who have political ideologies, and that's going to influence their ability to do unbiased science, right? Unless it's in something that's a hard science like chemistry or where that's not possible. So it's pretty tough to don't trust the stats. Um, they're a piece of information, they're a piece of the puzzle, but don't just, oh, I saw a stat and therefore that's true, right? People leap to conclusions way too easily, right? It's just like everyone has an opinion on politics, and yet how many people have really even read a single book about, why their political beliefs are correct? Like read an actual book, not just headlines and news and journalists and ideologues who are, very biased and have an agenda. Most of us don't know shit about any of the issues, even though we're very confident in our beliefs. I don't. Yes, you should probably let her go and get more options. What did you do that was too ballsy? With text game, you don't need to do anything crazy. It's a good example of keep it simple, stupid. That's what you want to do. So keep it simple, make plans, don't do anything crazy. If she likes you, she'll be receptive. And if she likes you and you do crazy, over the top, gamey stuff, she might start thinking, oh, I like this guy, but he's weird. So never mind. All right. I'm going to wrap up here. I know this is very short. Chances are I'm going to do a much longer one of these tomorrow. But like I said, today it's just, for whatever reason, just been very stressed and wasn't in the mood to do it. But I wanted to practice what I preach, right? I'm talking about how important consistency is. And I want to be, an example of that, even on the day where I don't want to post a video, where I don't want to do work. Uh, it's going to pay off in the long term going through those days. That's the price you pay to get whatever it is that you might want. And you just have to find out how much can you push yourself where you don't crumble under the pressure, right? And then give up and go in the opposite direction. So it's kind of like maybe a cheesy metaphor, but it's kind of like Goldilocks, right? It's finding if it's too easy, then you're not making progress. If it's too hard, whatever goals you have, um, you're gonna burn out. You have to build up to that over time, and you got to find that middle ground where you're pushing yourself. Which I think for me is just at least doing some form of content, some type of video every day. And then even on a day like this where I really don't want to do it, you're still making progress. And then when you are in a good mood, then you're able to push yourself that much more, and you just start your emotions stop fighting against you, because that's what they're doing right now. They're like saying, you don't want to do this, and they're trying to give me an excuse not to do it. But if you do it anyway, then your emotions reorient, because your emotions realize, all right, trying to throw him off course isn't working, so there's no point in doing that, right? There's no reason in creating that stress, because it's not going to stop him from taking the action anyway. And then your emotions orient to help you, but that comes through taking action. That's always been my experience. Uh, Austin is better for day game than Phoenix. Both are solid, but I would say Austin's definitely better. It's got a lot of different options, um, but Austin is definitely a city where night game is the best. It's one of the best cities in the country for. I mean, I especially like West Six, but there's a lot of options, and you should definitely be taking advantage of that, because Austin's great. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. My plan right now, unless my schedule precludes this, is to talk to you guys at 2 p.m. And I'll probably be reacting to infield of this guy, FitX Fearless, who made a video something about how he approached 100 women and they all rejected him despite him being a good looking guy. So we're going to, react to that, look at what's going on there, and see if maybe, his red pill ideology and the way he does game is maybe holding him back, or what's going on. California, the bar scene does not suck. Obviously, that's a huge state, so you got to say which city. But San Diego has a great bar scene. LA, it's very good. I wouldn't say there's a million really good bars, but there's a few that are amazing. And then even somewhere like The medium San Francisco has decent bars, for example. And how is Leo Gura's game? That's not something I'm gonna like say publicly. Like if I have a criticism, of someone who I've gone out with, who's a public figure, I wouldn't say that, right? Even if I did have an opinion. I'm trying to answer this, but I'm not sure what you mean. I'm more efficient than just doing duration. I do number of sets, so that hour I did 7 might be better. If you're saying like they're all very short, and should you increase the length of interactions? Yeah, you should. You don't want them to be 20, 30, 40 minutes, but you want the ideal interaction in the day is 5 to 15 minutes, unless you're going to be, taking her somewhere. Yeah, I'll most likely leave the video up. I might just edit it though and chop it down to be, you know, for after the live to make it more engaging or whatever. But my plan is to do that at 2 p.m. Anyway, it's funny. I mean, now I almost want to keep going, right? It's funny how that works. When I started this, I was just in a state of very high anxiety because I recently quit a medication I was taking for it. And I really didn't want to do this at all. But I knew if I didn't do it now, I probably wasn't going to do it at all tonight. So I pushed, and now I'm still not in an amazing mood, but I'm from like a 3 to like a 5 or a 6. It's funny how when you take action and do the right thing that you didn't want to do, how your emotions reorient. And, I said I was going to wrap this up at 9 minutes, but I just kept going. I just kept going. And so that's the power of momentum. And that's the power of setting small, realistic goals. Well, I have no interest in talking about the first one because there's no benefit. Um, RSD Julian definitely had a lot of very, very powerful advice, and his game was good, but he also unnecessarily self-sabotaged and was uncalibrated at times. And there was certainly a darkness to his advice. A lot of it was, very narcissistic and manipulative, which isn't to say it's not effective, but I would be aware of that. I will answer this quickly before I wrap up. So, to be successful when going solo at night, you want to approach anyone and befriend groups. Befriend, women you don't find attractive. Befriend guys. Just befriend anyone. Talk to anyone. Don't look for the perfect opportunity. Don't look for the, super hot girl. Just get more you do, the less the environment does to you. Is a good adage to be aware of. So the more you start talking to people, the less you feel isolated, the less you feel like some weirdo who doesn't have any friends. And then you befriend some people. And then when you're out approaching, actually girls you like or whatever, anytime you feel out of it, you feel stressed or whatever, you can go back to those groups. Now you have social alliances, and that helps a lot. And the other thing is really just minimize the time between interactions as much as possible, because when you're alone, you start to feel alone and like an isolated, a guy who's not cool, not part of the in crowd or whatever. The more that you wait between approaches, that's when that adds up. All right. It was good talking to you guys. I will see you again tomorrow to review that infield. And, if I don't do one of these live streams one day, feel free to call me out on not practicing what I preach. But that's why I did this. I hope you enjoyed it, even though I was out of it. I think there were some good questions, some good insights. And see you guys tomorrow.